Thanks for coming out to our meeting tonight to learn more about our project along C-147, the tributary to CEM's Bayou. My name is Dina Green. I'm the manager for the Planning Division of the Harris County Flood Control District. And again, I'd like to thank you for coming out tonight to learn more about our project. We're excited to have you here and to share some information with you about it. The format for tonight's meeting is going to be a presentation up front, followed by an open house that we're going to have in the back. So during the meeting, we'd like to ask that you hold your questions and then save those for the open house. So when we're done with the presentation, we'll have a lot of staff in the back. I think many of you have met several of them already, but we'll have a chance to talk with you one-on-one or in small groups and be able to share a lot of detailed information with you during that time. Before we get the meeting started tonight, I would like to recognize a few representatives from elected officials that are with us. We have Christina Jaramillo with State Representative Alma Allen from District 131. I'm sorry, Hiram, I apologize. And we also have Jennifer Russo and Lance Gilliam with Commissioner Rodney Ellison. Great. And did everybody get a copy of an agenda and a comment form when you walked in? Okay, great. So you'll notice from that, our presentation actually has a few different topics that we're going to touch on tonight. We're going to give you a broad overview of the flood control district, and then we're going to share some detailed information with you about the proposed projects that we're here to speak about. And at any point tonight, if somebody needs some support from a Spanish speaker, is more comfortable with Spanish, we do have Spanish-speaking staff available. Can you all raise your hands so we can see who you are? We've got Imelda right back here. Thank you. And over here to Santa too. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and begin the presentation portion. So Harris County Flood Control District is a special purpose district. We were created by the state legislature in 1937, and we were created in response to devastating floods that occurred in 1929 and 1935. A lot of damage was done during that time, especially to downtown Houston. Harris County is governed by the Harris County Commissioners Court. A lot of people get confused and think we're part of Harris County Flood Control District. We often partner a lot with Harris County, but we are two separate entities, but we both are governed by Harris County Commissioners Court. The Flood Control District's mission is to provide flood damage reduction projects that work with appropriate regard for community and natural values. The Flood Control District's jurisdiction is throughout Harris County, so you see on the map here, Harris County is outlined in that thick black line. It's about 1,800 square miles. And we have 22 watersheds throughout the county that drain all of the natural channel systems and man-made channel systems within the county boundaries. So the project we're here to discuss tonight is down in the southern portion of the county, and you'll see it highlighted by the red star on the map. The question that we often hear when we come out to public meetings is, why are we prone to flooding in Harris County? And really there's a few reasons for that. One of the main drivers for that is just the type of intense rainstorm events that we get. Sometimes we get tropical storms, sometimes we get hurricanes, and sometimes we just get really, really hard rainfalls. And when that occurs, we can get quite a bit of depth, or a lot of precipitation depth, and have that occur in a short amount of time. And when we pair that with our very flat topography, and then we pair that again with the clay soils that we have, which means there's not a lot of infiltration, there's not a lot of good drainage naturally throughout many parts of Harris County, then we get a lot of stormwater runoff. And as that runoff starts trying to make its way to our channel systems, if we don't have enough carrying capacity, or what you'll hear people call conveyance in those channel systems, well, then that water starts backing up and pooling up along the channels, and unfortunately, then we start getting into a flooding situation. So we put a map up here to kind of illustrate the different types of drainage systems that are common in Harris County. Get my laser pointer out, can't reach up too high. So back here is kind of one that most people are real familiar with. We've got a typical neighborhood there with local collector streets. We've got several houses in there, a couple of businesses. And so those types of neighborhoods are generally served by storm sewer systems or open ditch systems. And the jurisdictions in those areas would be different municipalities. So that might be something like a city, like City of Houston. Harris County might have the jurisdiction there, or sometimes it's a utility district as well. Now when we get over here to the left side of the right side of the illustration, you'll see we have a much larger open channel section through here. So that's typically where Harris County Flood Control District's jurisdiction. comes into play. And right in the middle, where we've got it shown on this map, it says shared jurisdiction. This is a big stormwater detention pond. And in this case, it's shared jurisdiction, so it's providing flood risk reduction for both that open channel and this adjacent neighborhood. And in that previous slide, we talked about why it floods sometimes and having excess volume of stormwater that's running off and trying to make its way to the channel. Well, when we build things like this detention basin, that helps provide some of that extra storage. So it's not ponding up along the channel in areas that we don't want it to pond up in. This helps provide a place to park that excess water. Okay, so in August 25th, 2018, after Hurricane Harvey, voters in Harris County approved during an election to issue bonds to help pay for flood control projects. So we had 237 projects across all watersheds, and those were developed both by recommendations at Flood Control District, as well as a lot of community outreach meetings similar to this. In fact, we were at this very location for one of our community outreach meetings. We got a lot of input from the public, and in fact, on that list of bond projects, we have 12 for the CEM's Bayou watershed. In addition to the $2.5 million that flood control will be raising through those bonds, we're also seeking partnership funds from other agencies as well. We're hoping to pursue up to about $2.3 billion in partnership funds so that we can hopefully increase that funding for flood control projects from $2.5 billion up to $4.8 or almost $5 billion. And this next exhibit just shows you there's a lot of opportunities to try to pursue those funding opportunities and partnerships. This map, I know it's got a lot on it, but it just shows you various agencies that we will be approaching and applying for funding and seeing if there's some type of opportunity that we can work together to pursue some of these flood damage reduction projects. There's several on this list that we've had a lot of successful partnerships with in the past. FEMA we work with, the Army Corps of Engineers, and of course Harris County as well. And with that, I'd like to turn things over to Dane Schneider. He's our project manager with our consultant IDS, who did the work for channel C-147, and he's here to talk to you about the proposed projects that we'd like to move forward with in the future.
So hello, my name is Dane Schneider. I'm with IDS Engineering, and I'm here to tell you some more about the project, the improvements on the Tributary to CEMS. My first slide here basically is showing you where the project is in relation to where we're having this meeting right now. So it's west of us, near the intersection of South Post Oak and West Fuquay. So the project is located in the CEMS watershed, as Dina said. It's in the upstream end of the CEMS watershed, and it encompasses the C-147-00-00 tributary to CEMS. And you'll hear us use the word tributary throughout the presentation. A tributary is basically just a smaller channel that conveys or delivers flows to a larger bayou or channel such as CEMS Bayou. And also, throughout this, I'll probably shorten tributary C-147-00-00 to the tributary, or just C-147, because that gets to be sort of glazing, actually saying that again and again. But the drainage area for C-147 actually overlays Harris County and Fort Bend County, and it's shown in the black line here. And then the study area for the improvements on the channel were done in the red area, which would be Harris County only. So the area studied for flood reduction only includes the drainage area in Harris County. And there were several objectives developed for the project. The four primary objectives that we developed for the project were that we wanted to, at the end of the project, we wanted tributary C-147 to capture and convey the 500-year storm event. In terms of rainfall, a 500-year storm event is an event that will deliver about 19 inches of rainfall over a 24-hour period. One of the other primary objectives was that we needed to mitigate any environmental or flow impacts from the improvements that we made on the channel. We also wanted to identify any project constraints or boundary conditions to delivery of the project. And we also, following Harris County's mission, wanted to identify any opportunities for community enhancement in the area. So zooming in on the project limits, there are basically, I guess, 3 elements to the project. One is the tributary of C-147 from Anderson Road, right here, downstream to Sims Bayou. And just to orient you, the direction of flow on the tributary is from southwest to northeast to Sims, and then Sims flows to the east. The other component of this is the existing dry bottom stormwater detention basin that's called C547-01-00. Again, in terms of shortening that, I will throughout this just call that the basin or basin C547. And then the third component of this are the bridges. We have a bridge at Tiffany Drive, we have a bridge at Fuquay Gardens, we have a bridge at West Fuquay, and we have the large bridge at South Post Oak Road. The plan is to replace Tiffany, Fuquay Gardens, and South Post Oak, and to modify the West Fuquay Bridge because it's a relatively new bridge. We did visit with the City of Houston since the bridges do exist in City of Houston Street right of way, and we'll be modifying the channel under the West Fuquay Bridge. And at least that's what's proposed right now, to not have to replace that bridge. So this is a snapshot of the existing area of inundation. So when the Sims Bayou federal project completed around 2015, and that project was a joint project between Harris County Flood Control District and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, it really greatly reduced the risk of structural flooding along Sims Bayou. However, today, there still is a risk of inundation or structural flooding in the C-147 watershed, and that remains largely due to the inadequate conveyance capacity that we have on tributary C-147. So when we talk about channels, we talk about their ability to contain and convey a particular storm event. And so today's tributary C-147 only has the ability to carry about a 10-year storm event. And so we talked about the objectives of containing a 19 inches of rain in 24 hours. Today, the channel is only able to carry a 10-year event, which is about 9 inches of rain in a 24-hour period before it overtops. And this is the result of that overtopping or spillover. The floodwaters just then spread around the area adjacent to the tributary. So before we move to the next slide, I did want to point out a couple of things. One is that the basin is connected to the tributary, right between South Post Oak and West Fuquay. There's a connection, and that the two facilities, it's important to realize that the two facilities work together as a system to reduce the risk of flooding in the area. And I'm going to show you some sections in a minute that are the proposed widening and deepening on the channel. One of them is going to be from Anderson downstream to that connection at the basin, and the other one is going to be from the connection at the basin downstream to Sims Bayou. Here's South Post Oak. Here's Fuquay Gardens view. Here's Tiffany Drive. And then, of course, here's West Fuquay coming along to here. So just to kind of reorient you guys, here's Sims Bayou up here. And then the channel and the basin are connected right here between West Fuquay and South Post Oak. And then C-147 is the yellow line right here. And so this is where C-147 connects to Sims. And it flows from here, and it flows northeast, and then connects with Sims. And so the sections on the next slide that I'm going to show you are basically the connection to the basin is the dividing point between the section that's proposed down here and the section that's proposed upstream of the connection point. So this slide basically shows you that the more conveyance capacity, that more conveyance capacity in the channel is achieved by widening and deepening the channel. The gray line shown here represents the existing cross-section of the channel that's out there today. The blue line represents the proposed cross-section, and then we've just shaded in the area that would need to be excavated in red. Yeah, so it's difficult to see here, but you're correct. It's a what we would call a uniform cross-section along the entire length of the project.
Thank you.
And so this would be removed downstream of the connection with the basin, and this would be the earth removal upstream of the connection with the basin. So one other component, a major component of the project, because Tributary C-147 is connected to basin C-547, is expansion of the existing basin. What you'll see in this slide is that the existing storage volume is approximately about 25 million cubic feet in the existing basin. The existing basin is a dry bottom basin, and this is an actual aerial photograph of the way the basin looks today. So basically, I cut a section through here. This gray line right here represents the bottom of the detention basin today. And so rainfall event comes, fills the basin up, it runs out, and then basically the basin pretty much remains dry most of the other time. So in order to deliver the project and the improvements and to mitigate the impact of flows from the project, it's necessary to expand the volume in the stormwater detention basin. So we're basically doubling that. We're expanding the volume in the stormwater detention basin to about 44 million cubic feet. And so it will then become, in order to maximize the amount of storage in the basin, it will become what we call a wet bottom basin. So its normal appearance will be more of that of a pond than a dry bottom basin, so you won't see the grass in the bottom or the trees in the bottom. And the blue line here represents what would be the proposed basin bottom with the project. What this really represents here is a project constraint, like I talked about, is one of the objectives. There's a 36-inch sanitary sewer line that serves the neighborhood to the south and goes to the CEM's wastewater treatment plant in Gallagher. So part of the project and the expansion is protecting that 36-inch sanitary sewer line. So I'm returning to this inundation map again, just to kind of remind you of the way things look today in terms of inundation during the 500-year, the inundation area during the 500-year storm event. And basically the data that we have tells us that about 654 properties are impacted today during a 500-year storm event. And so what I have brought to show you here is the model's simulation of what happens today during the 500-year storm event. This is pretty cool. What you're going to see is the channel will fill up, the basin will fill up, you're going to see the water spilling over the top of bank of the channel, and then you're going to see the water draining back down again and emptying out of the basin, and all of it's on its way to CEM's. Perfect, thank you. So you see the basin filling up, and then once that 25 million cubic yards of volume is exhausted, then the basin overtop, or the channel overtops, and you see the flooding in the area. So this is what's happening today for a 500-year storm event. So what we're proposing, and this is a snapshot of the same area. You have improvements along the tributary, you have improvements in the basin, and this is what the inundation map looks like when the project is done. You don't see any blue up there hardly at all. And what we're, and I want to point out this number here. The model tells us that about 4 parcels are affected by inundation. But we're seeing that as a pretty low number. We don't anticipate any structural flooding once the project is implemented. And so we also brought for you a video of what happens after the project is fully implemented. Channel fills up, basin fills up, basin empties out, channel goes down, there's no spillover. So the improvements completely contain the 500-year event. Anybody want to see that again? Yes. These are thanks to Adam. Thanks to Adam.
So where is that basin along West Way?
Yes, ma'am. Here's West Way and here's Southwest Way. So these are pretty awesome results.
Your blue line starts from the bottom, here it goes all the way up to Post Oak, or comes down? Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah, okay.
So there's two things going on out here. This is what's a diversion channel that was recently or relatively recently constructed, and it's called C-147-02-00, of course. Doesn't have a cute name.
All right.
And then this is the extension of C-147-00-00 that didn't see improvements. So today, the bulk of the water coming out of Fort Bend County
It's coming out of.
flows out of C-147-02, hits the C-147-00, and then keeps flowing this direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's all, the flow is up, yeah, 2 cents. Everything flows 2 cents. And then shoots east to the ship channel.
And so you say you're not worried about that stuff to the south, that's what you just said.
I didn't say I'm not worried about that stuff to the south. The stuff to the south is not in the scope of the project. The project is being sponsored by Harris County Flood Control District. The project is occurring in Harris County. Everything south of the Beltway is Fort Bend County. One of the things when I talked about the opportunities for community enhancements was that we realized was we have the opportunity to connect to the CEM's Greenway project that is being completed, and this section is complete by the Houston Parks Board. So if you look here at this green line going down to this yellow line on the blurry screen, you'll see this is what's there right now, and that's basically a pedestrian bridge at Sims Brook and Buxley that crosses over the channel today. So Harris County Precinct 1 sees an opportunity for extending the Sims Greenway hike and bike trails as part of this project. And so that would be, we kind of conceptualized this for them to get their input on whether they would be behind doing this or not, and they're definitely a proponent of it. So we've drawn here basically what could happen, and that's the yellow line. You follow the channel down, and then there would be opportunity for trails around the basins. And then of course the yellow line could go all the way down to the Beltway and hook in with the neighborhood there along Anderson Road. And so some of these other pictures are just kind of an example of how great the Sims Greenway looks. Like this is the section that is by Blue Ridge Park there. I guess it's west of South Post Oak around Croquet. And then this is just a marker for an entry to the trail.
So are they thinking of implementing sidewalks, they will walk along the Bayou, basically?
Yes.
Kind of like around the city park, you know, they made a new park, it's like you can
Yes.
walk the trail.
Yes, and very similar to that, yeah.
Okay.
So then, the next slide pretty much summarizes the project. We have the channel widening. Click. Yeah. Or the tributary, I'm sorry. We have the bridges. One more click. And then we have the basin. One more click. And so those are the 3 components of the project. And just to kind of let you guys know where we are in terms of funding and schedule, IDS is in the process of completing the preliminary engineering phase of the project. The preliminary engineering report is due to Harris County Flood Control District next month. And part of the time frame in there includes input from the community, so you guys definitely need to provide input on the forums or verbally to any of us tonight. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is that the estimated total cost of the project, go back to reading. The estimated total cost of the project, if you can read that, is about $25 million. And the current allocated funding from the 2018 Harris County Flood Control District Bond Program that was approved by the voters on August 25th, as Dina said, of 2018, approximately $4.5 million is allocated. So you can see there's a gap between the cost of implementing this fabulous project and the amount of bond funding that's been allocated for it. So flood control at this point, IDS is we're working with flood control. So at this point, we are what would be in the preliminary engineering phase of the project. A certain amount of funding has been secured. And flood control is in the process of pursuing other sources of funding and attempting to secure those sources of funding from other federal sources or potentially community partners. So there's a constant ongoing activity to secure the additional funding to implement the project. Also, flood control has asked IDS to look at different ways that the project could be implemented in phases such that, you know, once we got to the last phase of the project, you would get the whole package and you would see those flood risk reduction benefits. That's it. Thank you.
One second, ma'am. We're going to transition into the open house where you'll have one-on-one time with our folks. And we do want to be respectful of everyone's time so that you'll have opportunities to meet with our many technical experts here tonight. This project will benefit a lot of folks in your community, and we ask that you help us share this information with your neighbors who aren't here, or with your civic organizations. The bond program website, HCFCD/C09, will house this presentation as well as a video of tonight's meeting. And y'all will all receive a comment form when you first arrive. So filling out these forms will give us those unique perspectives and experiences that can help us shape this project. But it'll also sign you up to receive updates on this project as they become available, so you can follow through to the completion of the project. And with that, we're going to transition to the open house so we can address your questions one-on-one. But thank you for your time and your participation tonight.